Welcome to Modern Management of the Older Adult, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ellen Seppi. I'm a TA for the Modern Management of the Older Adult Division for ICE. And today, my mom and I are greeting you live from Steamboat. We just got off the ski slopes not too long ago. And today our topic for our podcast is going to be a tale of two grandmas. So I have two living grandmothers. One of them is my dad's mom named Oma, and one of them is my mom's mom that I call Grandma. And Oma, for context, is 89 years old, and Grandma is
11 years younger.
Yeah, so that's
1945 and 1974.
She's 78.
Right.
Yeah, we got it down. Anyways, so my mom knows that I teach for a continuing education company that talks a lot about the importance of health and fitness. And thankfully, when I invited you to be my guest on the podcast about aging, we had a discussion already about that we weren't going to talk about you. We're going to talk about my grandmas and how you've supported them. So the tale of two grandmas is basically that everybody's life choices and life circumstances are wildly different. And my Oma, who's 89 years old, is living by herself. She has both grandmothers are living independently. They're surrounded by family. They have all of their cognitive faculties. They are great cooks. They're loved by their children. They have a community of church family around them. And they both have peace about their life and great satisfaction. So we have a lot already that we admire about them. But
right.
The things that make them different, Oma, the 89-year-old, is facing some current lifestyle and health-related illnesses that we wouldn't want to necessarily emulate. She has a lot of things that we would want to emulate. But my Oma is struggling right now in her health and in her flexibility in life and her resiliency, in part because she's 89, but also in part that she hasn't been an avid exerciser her whole life because of a lot of different reasons. So in looking at these two lifestyle choices, I think it's really important that we know that the things that we see in life will play out over time. Why don't you talk about Grandma a little bit and what you admire about her and her health, especially because my grandma's on Instagram and she's likely going to watch this video later.
All right. Well, my mom is a powerhouse. Everybody calls her the Energizer Buddy because she really doesn't stop moving ever, except for when she sleeps. And she is always helping others. She's always doing for others, going places, going out with girlfriends for lunch, having people over at her house for dinners. Every month she has what's called Third Sunday and has about 40 to 50 people over, including all of her children, her children's spouses, her grandchildren, friends of the families, and we're very inclusive. We never like anybody to feel left out or like they don't have someplace to go or be, or that we don't like anybody to feel lonely. So my mom is very energetic. She's very social, and she is part of Silver Sneakers. She does a weekly Bible study. She always has activities and things that she likes to do.
She has a lot that we could admire, and I can see that playing out in who you are and how you're over time maintaining things that are important to you. And those things that are important are community, being active, you mountain bike, you play tennis, we just got off the slopes, you're trying new things all the time, and you have a really close relationship with your family. And I hope that I can do the same thing too one day.
I'm sure you will.
So we have a lot that we admire in our family members. What would you say that you admire about your mother-in-law, Oma?
Oma is probably very similar to my mom, but she's 11 years older, so that makes her less able to do things, mostly because of a lot of health issues that she's had over the years that are debilitating and disabling. And while Oma is not able to move a lot or go places a lot, especially on her own, she's mostly dependent on everybody taking her places and doing things for her. She loves to visit with people. She loves to hear stories about people. She loves to know about you and advise you and encourage you and love you. And she's a beautiful woman, a beautiful soul. And, 15, 20 years ago, she also loved to host parties at her house with a lot of people, a lot of family. She cooked a lot. But all good things have to come to an end. And I feel like the things that are important are the things that she maintains, mainly her personal relationships, and her memory is astounding. She'll remember that we're skiing today and tomorrow, and she'll know that I'm coming home at 9 p.m. Wednesday night and that I have to work the next day. She has everybody's schedules memorized, and she sort of lives her life through her children and her grandchildren and the people that she loves.
And I guess it's easy to say that we can pick and choose what we'd like to be like when we get older, when I'm 89, what I'd like to be. But you can't always choose the hand that you've dealt. And I think, honestly, that neither Grandma or Oma would change much about how they've lived their lives. They just have different choices. And, it's hard to always, we wish, both of us are always chiding Oma that we wish she would exercise more. And it's hard, especially me, considering I teach around the country about how important exercise is, to not get frustrated with her in a way because she doesn't exercise. But you can't not love somebody just because they don't choose what you would choose. It is frustrating, and we can see those life choices playing out. But for goodness sake, she is 89 and living on her own. So she's doing something right.
Right. A lot of things right.
And I think you've been a really great example of love and support to both Oma and Grandma, regardless of their choices. And I guess if I could just articulate it, even though you're frustrated just as much as I am that Oma doesn't exercise, and you tell her that, we have a really open relationship with her, nobody would ever say that you love her less or support her less because she doesn't fit your narrative.
Absolutely not.
Which I really admire. So even though she doesn't live out the choices you want her to make, you still love her and support her. And I guess I'd like, if that's something that we can learn, because this audience is mostly healthcare workers who support people daily who don't make life choices that they support. They don't exercise, they don't eat healthy food, they don't, sleep enough. They don't, have healthy relationships with their family. I guess if you could say to this audience, how would you support somebody whose daily choices you don't necessarily agree with? How do you do that?
Well, I think it's important to support what people are able to do and encourage them in what they're able to do. And then in the things that they're sort of on the fence about, maybe try to push them to do the things that that they could do. For instance, Oma sometimes doesn't like doing her dishes, and I always tease her and tell her she's like a bad teenager. And she should really just, try to do her dishes. But it's hard for her to get around, and I'm thankful that she puts her dishes next to the sink and she does clean up after herself. She doesn't leave things out. And just support as much as possible what people are able to do, and pick up the slack in what they're not able to do, and love them anyway, because someday I might be there. Oma's been dealt a lot of health issues. I mean, she has CHF. She's a breast cancer survivor. She has a pacemaker. She's on countless medications, and
she's fallen. She's broken her hip.
Yeah.
She lost her husband. So she's had a lot.
And then even my own mom, she has had AFib, and she hasn't had as many issues, health issues, but she's 11 years younger, and who knows what's going to happen to her. I mean, anything can happen to anyone, and nobody chooses bad things for their lives. And I certainly hope that people will love and support me if I'm, sick or dying or, debilitated. I hope you're not going to kick me to the curb.
No.
I mean, obviously you're going to, I would hope that I'm loved and cherished despite my faults and failures and limitations. Yeah.
So it sounds like you find a balance of supporting and being there to help where they can't do things for themselves, but also encouraging them to maintain their independence out of a true belief in their ability to do it themselves.
Sure.
So it's kind of a balance there. Mm-hmm. Well, I think you do a really good job helping support people in our family, and if I've learned to care for older adults in my life, it's because of you and your example.
Thanks.
So anyways, thanks for tuning into this podcast episode, and thanks for hanging out with me and my mom, and hopefully we'll hear from you guys next time. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the MMOA podcast. If you found this helpful, please share with someone that could benefit. And if you're looking for more practical content to help you better serve older adults, head over to www.mmoa.online, where you can learn more about our free resources, our community, continuing education courses, and our certification. Once again, that's www.mmoa.online. Thanks for listening.